incredible sadness. It's about how the Native people
All right, thank you all for coming. I really appreciate it. This show for Aaron is really going to put it to another level. For those of you that don't know Aaron, I'll tell you a little bit about him. I'm sorry, we have a Gin 76 drink special tonight, so I've been sampling that for the last 2 hours, so you can excuse me for that, I'm sorry. But Aaron's someone that he was originally brought in by Keith James in what year was that? 03, what am I calling Nebraska, Aaron? 04. And, you know, really, there was an immediate sort of kinship. Aaron and I were almost the same age. Aaron's older than me, though. You know, I think one of the things with Aaron, the amount of artists that have come through the university, and the influence that he's had, and how he is an advocate for, you know, these young artists while still being a professional artist himself. I mean, really goes far to talk about Aaron as, you know, the man and the educator. Aaron is an artist. Aaron is an artist is someone with an art history background. He understands what everything's rooted in. I mean, if you don't know Aaron, he is a highly intelligent individual too. And he's put that, he's kind of fostered his skills, and he's built that. And it's not necessarily like Aaron's trying to make an artist statement with his work, which he probably is, and I'll tell you about that in a second. But bottom line, it's just good. It's just good and doesn't need a definition because Aaron understands it. Aaron is what Aaron is. But, okay, enough of my drunken stammering. Let's move on to the fun already. Thank you very much.
All right, I just want to thank Lisa and Buck for letting me do a show here, and we've had a relationship, and I've shown work in a lot of other places, but this is by far my favorite place to show because my whole neighborhood's here. People who see me raking the lawn and putting grass seed in and walking the dog get to see a different part of me. But I want to thank Buck and Lisa because it's a real privilege to have a space like this and be able to show your work, and they have a lot of artists that they can choose from, and so it's an honor, and thank you. And I want to thank Barbara and Chloe. Chloe was my student who just graduated this year with a major award, a wonderful painter. You can congratulate her, give her a round of applause. And in fact, we're going to try to put together a show. 2 years ago, we did a show called Now, which is undergraduate students, and we're going to do another one this summer, and some of the students are in the room here who we're hoping will contribute pieces. And that would be a really fun show, a big group show. But this show for me was a year and a half, 2 years of working through a lot of things, through music, through poetry, through Walt Whitman and Bob Dylan as kind of perfect counterparts. One a cynic and the other kind of an enthusiast of nature. And so I actually worked on a poem that was based, it was just a mashup, like a bad song mashup. So it took reversed Bob Dylan's Murder Most Foul and then paired it with the first 32 verses of the Song of Myself, and they're the opposite poets saying the same thing. And I was going to publish a little book for the show, and I didn't because I have a great student who's a doctorate student in poetry, and she looked at, she said, okay, we're doing couplets. Did you, and why would you space it like this? And also like, oh my gosh, I'm a complete novice at writing. So I'm not going to embarrass myself. I mean, it's not my writing anyway. All I'm doing is grafting. And I think that's true of any art. Like, painting's been around for 20,000 years. And I'm taking things that I really like out of the landscape and atmosphere that I'm influenced by. The flower pieces in the back, the Cherokee rose was the whole idea of Trail of Tears. So for every tear shed, there would be a rose that would bloom. And so Georgia was on my mind 2 years ago, and those two things deal with that, but not directly. And someone else might just see a flower and say, oh, that's a great flower. The red rose is my friend Carrie Pickett, who is doing a fight for water rights in Minnesota, and it's a native Minnesota rose. The show started with the red rose. I painted that first, and I did all these landscapes, and at the end, then I went back and did the two white ones. I knew I would do them. And then people asked, what's Turtle Island? Turtle Island is indigenous for North America. It's also an island on the Missouri River. And so there's some of that is in there. But also, I tried not to make the pieces as quite as specific, and just to lean into color and lean into abstraction and lean into my enjoyment of being in the studio and wanting to have a relationship of space and then to counteract space with flatness. And to see what the possibility of it is. And there's some great quotes. I won't do them, it gets tiresome, but Jackson Pollock has a great quote on it. Philip Guston, I think about Philip Guston a lot because I look at the work he did in the 30s and then I look at the work he did in the late 80s, and it's all the same to me. And some of it's figurative and some of it's really abstract in the 60s. But the palette is there, the temperature is there, the attitude is there. And so someone asked me like what show I'd do next. I said I'll probably disappoint everyone and do a portrait show. But I mean, I have to trust myself in the studio, trust what I'm enjoying. And I have to say, this set of images that I made is probably the most pleasure I've had in my studio ever. And even during a very difficult time, about a month ago I called Buck into the studio because my daughter had been through a series of concussions. I was taking her to Madonna Rehabilitation Clinic. I'd been gone out of the studio for a week, and I came in, I thought I can't do it. Like I said, Buck, I think we need to, this is what every artist does about a month before the show. We need to push the show back, and I do September. I even had grad students lined up, Maddie Unger. He's like, he came in and talked me off the edge, and he said, you're fine, you have plenty of work, and you'll be okay. And I said, thank you. And in fact, and Lisa came over to our house because Isabel had been through Madonna and helped with Sophie, and she's back from Skidmore College right over there. So there's a lot in your world that you're thinking of. It doesn't even necessarily work with the painting. People ask why the green one. That's Love Field. Love Field is Dallas, Texas. It was a kind of almost like you would almost call it an abstract memento mori for JFK. If we go into the Murder Most Foul, which is 60 minutes long about it. Again, like this Turtle Island, I did this one and I thought it's too blue. So I did the blue one back there because I thought, well, maybe it's not blue enough. And that's probably like the most blue you'll ever see, but it's like rapturous blue. It's like really brilliant, enthusiastic blue. It's not like you get the blues. It's a blue like a summer sky blue. It's actually a Great Plains blue. And then when I did that, I counteracted it with the yellow one. And the yellow one probably has the most layers because yellow is, if you use it with zinc white, it's transparent, and if you use lemon yellow, it's transparent, and if you use zinc and lemon yellow, it doesn't dry. And so like this was just, these two yellow ones were battles. They were just battles, and we were talking about it. But they were like really fun battles. And so you'll see that there's a combination of almost exuberance and landscape, but also almost conflict as these things kind of clash with each other. And I'm trying to get a balance at it and still make it new each time. So I thank you for the show. Thank you for coming out. It's a terrific night, and I'm really just thrilled to see you all here. So thank you.
Now would be the time. If not, we'll be around. If you didn't know, some words are for sale. So deal with that. The next show coming up is actually the students of Aaron, and Aaron's curating that show for us, and that will be a summer show. The show will be up through September. Then we have Chad Olson, September